After 41 long weeks of pregnancy, I was scheduled to go into the hospital to get labor started. These are the things I wish I knew beforehand. First off, seriously plan on the process taking multiple days. I knew that there was a likelihood that it could take a while because all the information I had been given was like, yeah, induction could take about 1 to 3 days. But in my mind, I was like, my body is ready to go. I'm overdue at this point. Like, I've been a centimeter dilated for a couple weeks now. Like, my body just needs a kickstart. It's ready to go. I was wrong. We went into the hospital on Thursday night at 9 p.m. and my son was not born until Sunday morning at 1:45 a.m. It was a long haul for sure. Because I went into the hospital not really planning for the longest case scenario, I really wasn't mentally prepared for what was ahead of me. The second thing ties in with number one, and that's be prepared for labor to take some trial and error. There was not one magic formula that sent me into labor. It was a combination of multiple things that occurred over the series of a couple days. No one told me that. Of course, me going into the hospital, I assumed they'd get me on the drugs and things would get going. But I didn't really realize all of the different options that there are, and that you really just kind of have to play the waiting game and see what your body takes to. Some things might not work. You might need a combination of things. There's really no one size fits all induction technique for everybody. For me personally, we started off with Cervidil the night I went into the hospital. So they put that in, they gave me some medicine to help me sleep, and it was just, all right, we'll check you in the morning, see how things are going, and we'll go from there. Morning came around, I was a little bit more dilated. I think they gave me a little bit more of a higher count just to help me kind of feel a little bit more motivated, because I mean, I thought I'd go into the hospital, they'd get me going, and the show would be on the road like right away. But that was not the case. So then they started me on Pitocin, they cranked me up on that, and even that, I didn't really take to it right away. My body was contracting some, but really nothing that was sending me into active labor. Then the following night, so night 2 in the hospital, they put me on misoprostol. So this is another medication that's supposed to just get your cervix ready and kind of get things prepped down there. And this helped me a lot more than the Cervidil did. But again, it didn't put me into active labor on its own. Again, the following morning, they had to check me and they decided to put me on the Pitocin again, crank that up, and still, it wasn't really taking right away. And there was talk about having to put a balloon in because ultimately they wanted to break my water, but I wasn't dilating enough for them to really be able to get in there to break my water. So again, it was just a waiting game on the Pitocin, just letting that do its thing. And they checked me again with the intention of putting the balloon in, but I was dilated just enough that they could get in there and break my water. That's what finally sent me into active labor. Once they broke my water, things really started to move. But it was all of those things before they could break my water that was the trial and error in trying to get me to the point where they could finally break my water. I was not prepared for that at all. The third thing that I did not expect was to feel like a really low priority within the maternity ward. So it makes sense thinking back on it, but at the time I was kind of caught off guard in the fact that things were taking so long for me to get attention from the nurses or from the doctors or whatever. But I mean, obviously they're going to give precedence to the people that are in active labor and really have babies that are on the verge of being born. But then there was me who was just kind of chilling, trying to get labor started, but I wasn't really like a high demand patient. So that was part of the thing that kind of caused things to take longer too, because of course they would prioritize the people that are in active labor and those new patients coming in that are closer than I am to delivering a baby. So that really dragged the process along as well. Number 4 is to make sure you pack things that will help you nap. Sleeping is the best way to pass time, and hospital beds suck. I remember being so uncomfortable already trying to sleep in my own bed at home. So move the whole pregnancy, huge, uncomfortable, just that situation into a hospital bed, and sleep is just not easy. Thankfully, I did bring some pillows and blankets from home, but honestly, if I knew how uncomfortable I was gonna be in the hospital bed, I probably would have brought more pillows and blankets, maybe a sleep mask, maybe some other comfy things from home that would help me sleep better, because yeah, that was tough because I wanted to sleep. I was frustrated because I couldn't sleep. I was frustrated because labor wasn't happening really. So if I could have slept more, I would have just been a happier person all around. The last thing is that I wish I had prepared for my adrenaline to be all over the place. Going into the hospital, my adrenaline was so high. I was so amped in the back of my mind thinking that I would be meeting my baby the next day. But as things started and things weren't moving along very quickly, my adrenaline nosedived. And so that made me exhausted. That made me really just not a happy person. I felt kind of defeated in the moment, not really feeling like my body was doing what it was supposed to be doing, and my spirits were really down. And then of course, once things picked up and I was in active labor and once baby finally arrived, the adrenaline was cranked again. And those ebbs and flows of adrenaline really take a toll on your body. Not just the physical part of labor and delivery, meeting your baby, all of that, but the adrenaline highs and lows that you will be riding are exhausting in itself, and it really takes a toll on you mentally. So I wish that before going to the hospital, I kind of was more prepared to keep myself in check, keep my adrenaline in check, just so that I was more even keel throughout the whole process. And I think that really would have helped me to be in a better mood consistently despite whatever was happening at the hospital. Looking back, I really wouldn't change a thing of the whole process because in the end it brought me my beautiful baby boy. But for the next time around, if I do have to be induced, I'm definitely going to keep these things in mind. If you're out there preparing for your induction day, I hope these insights might be a little helpful as you prepare to head to the hospital. Best of luck and have the best time meeting your little one.